This is a hot segment, folks, and everyone seems to love it. This week, we have some doozies to pay attention to. Airline, cruise ships, they caught my attention. Why? Oil caught my attention. Is demand showing up? Zoom made a huge move this week. Should you buy it now? These and other stocks are my stocks of interest this week. People are telling me that the airline companies are starting to take off. Well, a lot of it is because there's possibly some more help coming to the airlines by way of stimulus. President Donald Trump said on Tuesday his administration would help the U.S. airlines facing sharp turndowns in passenger traffic as a result of the novel coronavirus pandemic, but gave no details. So I want you to understand that the airlines are going up on speculation that they are going to get it, but we don't know for sure. So it's being driven. Why? Because airlines have been beaten up so much that I think a lot of people are saying maybe now is the time to get in low. But if the stimulus does not come from them, there's a strong possibility that they can keep going down. Last week, I ran a story on United Airlines laying off 19,000 people. Airlines are in some dire straits right now. So if you're going to trade the airlines, I think just be careful trading them. We're going to take a look at what they're really doing on an ongoing basis, but just keep your eyes on them. Another one in this space, how about cruise ships? Cruise operators took a deep bruising from COVID-19, but history says they will recover. Listen, I don't know what history they're looking at. All right, but this ain't history. This is not normal history. This is unprecedented times. The cruise industry was among the industries rocked hardest by the COVID-19 pandemic, with many fearing the virus could leave a permanent bruise on the sector with a history of onboard illness outbreaks. But it's exactly that history that suggests this time won't be different and cruising will eventually flourish again. All right, so that was the story. We're going to look at analyzing the stock to give us a better perspective. Another thing, somebody wanted to talk about Zoom. Zoom's in here. Zoom, how many of y'all saw Zoom kicked off like nobody's business earlier in the week? September 1st, the stock was up pre-market 30%. We were in it in our jockey club. We made a lot of money on it in our trading room. We have a trading room in the VectorVest software. As a matter of fact, if you're not a subscriber to the VectorVest software, Joey's going to put a link in the room for you. You can take a trial to the VectorVest software for 99 cents for 30 days. But Zoom rocketed. The note is titled, Unprecedented Times Continue to Lead to Unprecedented Results. A lot of people, even in my church, a lot of the sermons are being done over Zoom or over some kind of social media meeting type of apparatus. Zoom is the biggest one that's out there, and that's what's really rocketed them. From the purposes of going to school. Remember when Zoom went down, when school first started? Zoom got smoked like a pound of bacon. I like bacon. But anyway, it got smoked like a pound of bacon. You would think that with all of the schools starting to go back, and I'm sure that they had to put out an ungodly amount of money to go and buy more servers to prepare for all of the people going back to school. I'm sure that they probably did. And Zoom still got hit, but it is, man, that stock is just kicking butt, taking names. Another one, how about from a stay-at-home, I got a stay-at-home watch list looking at all of the streaming stocks. How about Walmart's getting into that space? Walmart Plus, a hit on Wall Street and Main Street. Shares of Walmart are having a big day after the retail giant announced earlier today the launch of its new Walmart Plus membership. It's going to start on September 15th at the price of $98 a year. You know something? I didn't realize I was paying like so much money for Amazon. Good God. Do you have Amazon? Mm-hmm. I got Amazon. You got Disney? Mm-hmm. I got Disney. You got Hulu? Mm-hmm. I got Hulu too. Man, and I got cable. You got cable? Mm-hmm. Good gravy. I spend a lot of money.
You probably don't use it either.
I don't use half of it, but I just do it. Nobody listens to me. My wife doesn't listen to me. And then, do you have Sirius? I got Sirius too. I pay for so much crap. Anyway, Walmart is getting into the streaming space. All right, so that's news. I want to take a look at the stock. Importantly, we believe Walmart's relationship with Microsoft has deepened since their announced a relationship in 2018. We believe social media platform contingent with TikTok. Look at that. They're going after TikTok. That's why I remember that everybody and their mama wants to go after TikTok. I don't even have TikTok. I think TikTok is silly. Who wants to sit up there and do a dance? You sit up there and go, and then you put it on TikTok, and then
a lot of people on VV Nation would love to see you on TikTok.
Oh,
I think they'd love to see you do a dance.
Heck to the no.
Who's with me here, VV Nation? Who's with me?
Oh no. Oh heck to the no. Glenn is not even thinking about. I don't even own TikTok. And I do not want to get on TikTok. It would be icky. If you dance like that, then no. That's awesome. Joey took away my chat. That's messed up. Steve said if I dance like that, then no, he doesn't want to see me on TikTok. All right. Anyway, next stock, and this is another one. Apple. Somebody wanted me to talk about Apple. This is an interesting story. September stocks you may want to hold and fade after the S&P 500's best August since 1986. The two stocks that are here are Salesforce and Apple. All right, everybody knows I love me some Apple, but look at those graphs. Salesforce, look at that. In an ascending wedge, if that's what you want to call that. I love that graph. Coupled that with, oh my gosh, Apple. There's nothing bad you can ever tell me about Apple. I love me some Apple, but I'm not in love with Apple. I say that over and over again. I love me some Apple, but I'm not in love with Apple. But two stocks to consider. We're going to analyze those real quick. This is big because I know people who like weed, Joey. This is a stock, Canopy Growth. No, Joey doesn't like weed. I just wanted to put that in there. Canopy Growth opening its first dispensaries in Alberta. That could be big news. Wow, that's messed up. They made the marijuana leaf look like the Canadian flag. Wow. I don't know if that's good, bad, or indifferent. Anyway, opening up its first dispensaries in Alberta province. You know, was it last year, Susan, that they made weed legal in Canada? It was last year, or was it the beginning of this year? I think it was last year. I don't remember. I think it was one of the two. Weed is legal in Canada.
I can't remember. I know, and obviously there's lots of people looking at stocks at various different stages in this area, but yeah, that one I can't remember, Glenn.
All right, but I know it's legal in Canada, so you know, if I really was all in, just could you imagine me on weed as pumped up and as hyper as I am? Could you imagine me going, dude, let's talk about trending things? I couldn't do that. Everybody would be like, Glenn is smoking that stuff. That's just like that. So anyway, that could be a big mover of the stock. And my last story in my stocks of interest is on oil. You know me, what moves oil? In my estimation is demand moves oil. Oil gains on U.S. stock drawer. So we started eating into our supplies of oil. Crude oil's extended gains on Wednesday after a bigger than expected draw in the U.S. crude stockpiles, and as solid U.S. and Chinese factory activity fueled optimism of a recovery from the coronavirus pandemic, boosting investor risk appetite. So I normally look at a specific stock, which is WTI, Western Texas, and because as oil goes, that stock tends to go. But this is interesting in trying to understand or ascertain if this is the right time or not the right time to look at oil. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go pull up these stocks. Apple, Zoom, CRM, Walmart, Jets. Hold on. Sorry, I had to sneeze. Oh, my. NCLH.
As Glenn is pulling that up there, I just want to let people know is that I actually sold a put on Walmart at $50. That's how I got in there. And as you can see, it's now at $143.74. I remember selling that put to buy Walmart. Then I remember getting paid the dividends, and then I remember selling covered calls in it as well. So I think at the time I made a significant income on it. I think that the income that I generated was far in excess of what the dividend was, but it certainly was helpful to the capital gain at the time as well.
And Walmart
you
is
then.
a stock that we've looked at on more than one occasion here on Yes, I talked about it. So that's Jim Penna. Say hi, Jim.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, now get out. All right, that was Jim Penna. He was asking if I talked to everybody about the webcast that's coming up. He didn't even knock on my door, which really ticks me off. I'm going to have some words with him about that. All right. Apple, as much I recently bought back into Apple when the split happened. I own like 35 shares at $128. It's going down, and a lot of people are saying, well, what are you going to do? What do you mean I'm going to do? I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to leave the stock alone. I'm bullish on the stock. If I ever get, and actually I can't even buy protection on it because I don't own 100 shares. But if I did, then I'd buy a contract of puts if I wanted to do that. They're going to be expensive. They will be expensive. But that's if I really, really, really didn't want to get rid of Apple and I didn't really, really, really want to get a gut punch of the stock's price going down. That's what I would do. I would buy the puts on it. Please do not get. Okay. So as I go through these, if you want to add anything real quick, because I still got to get to my stocks, my quick fire stocks. If there's anything you want to add to it, let me know. If not, I'll go to the next stock. Susan?
I was just checking if you were talking to me or talking to the audience. Yes,
no.
there is something that I do want to add, and that is that one of the key things that's going on in Europe, and I mention this every time because it's a big story, and that is ESG, environmental, social, and governance. And there's lots and lots of debate around it. Is it real? Can people really make money out of this? Does it outperform the market and so on? So last October, I really looked into this in depth, and I didn't just look at the returns. I also looked at the liquidity, and I also looked at the composition of ESG themselves, because a key challenge that a lot of people have around ESG is, well, how do they pick the companies? And some of the companies that might be high on ESG factors, you may actually say, well, I'm not quite sure about this. So I looked into that. I really did look into that. And back then, I put together a watch list. I did one both in Europe and I did one in the US. Now, in the US, I don't know, Joey or Glenn, if you can pull this up on Viewer, but particularly in the US, I had picked three ESG ETFs to examine. And if you just want to create a quick watch list, or else just on the Viewer, here are the three that I had picked at the time. One was, I'm just going to wait there now for the Viewer to come up. In anticipation, the stocks were DSI. So DSI. The second one is TAN. Okay, the TAN, and the third one is ESGD. Right, so ESGD. Now they didn't all do very well, but one in particular did. So if you actually go back to the very beginning of the year, go back to the 2nd of January. If we just want to go back there to the 2nd of January, and let's just take a look at what happened. As I say, this was in my views in Europe. I wrote about this back in September of last year, and just really want to get to the bottom of this, and just we do a quick test until today, please, and thank you. And there you go. TAN actually is the solar powered one. That's up 64% so far this year. And then DSI now. DSI is the longest serving one. That's KLD. It's the KLD ETF. It's been around for ages and ages and ages. That has delivered 7.78%. And then the other one, the MSCI one, as you can see, it's down 7%. But if you compare that to the VectorVest composite, which is almost flat for the year, you would have been up 21%. So it's certainly something that is really interesting. Yesterday, for example, Germany, for the first time, the German government sold a green bond. And there was a bid of 33 billion euro for the bonds that were just worth 6 billion. So massive, massive, massive requirement. There are massive demand for it. Similarly, again, going back to what I said in France. So ESG, I have to say, it is big news. It's certainly a big story in Europe. The money that's in Europe is actually higher proportionally that's in the US. So it is a theme that I more so see my side of the Atlantic rather than yours, Glenn. But as you can see there, certainly that there's interesting ETFs to look at there in the VectorVest system. And when you look at the RT, you can see that TAN there, it's the one that's highest at 1.31. Obviously, when it comes to ETFs, we can't look at RV and RS and EPS and so on like that. But there's certainly plenty of other things to look at. Last thing I'm going to point out is look at that beautiful CI. If you're selling puts on stocks, what is a fabulous thing to happen is the stock to move from the bottom left to the top right. If you're out of the money, you're generating nice premium. If you're in the money, you're generating nice premium and taking on the stock. So that certainly is my other story that I wanted to pick up on today. Not necessarily a headline. This is a theme that as often as I will be on this show with you, Glenn, if you'll have me, I will be talking about this over and over again.
You got it. Not a problem. All right. Let me go back to my listing of stocks. All right. Real quick. Next one, Zoom. Oh, man. So it's getting a little hit. Now, because the stock makes the news doesn't always mean it's the right time to buy. And I'm always the first one to say that. If you own Zoom, though, man, that's a big drop from a high price of $478 down to $377. That's about $100 drop. If you have the right stops in place, folks, after that big move on Monday, that's Tuesday, that's Wednesday, or was that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, today's Thursday. Man, this is where I don't care how good a stock is, you got to have stops in place. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And anybody who ever sits back and says, man, I'm taking a big loss in the stock, I will still always ask you why. Why? You have to have stops that match up with the type of stock that you're getting into. And it's easy for me to sit on this side of the fence and say that. But as a trader myself, both as a trader and an investor, I never let a stock. I try very hard, even from an emotional standpoint, I try very hard to limit what my losses are going to be on any stock, no matter what stock it is. All right, so always keep that in mind. So I'm not ready to buy Zoom right now. The news is out there. The news was talking about how good it is. I'm not ready to pull the trigger on it. I bet you Zoom, because it's a software company, is probably in the NASDAQ as well. The stop on Zoom was 312. Oh, all right, so let's talk about that real quick. If I look at the stop that we have, all right, the stop that we have can be used as gospel or guide. I've learned that a long time ago. The stop that we have on the stock, all right, let's go to Zoom real quick. Zoom. Come on, zoom. The stop is at, where's it at? 297. There's no way in the world, all right, that I'm going to allow my stock to go down that much. So what do we say the stop is? The stop is the line in the sand. The line in, if you own the stock and it goes below that, if you still own it, you're holding it against your own, all right, your own risk. Because in order for a stock to get a sell recommendation, only one thing needs to happen. The price of the stock, like WTI, has to go below the stop price. That's why it's a line in the sand. Now, do I want to let my stock go all the way down to that price? Absolutely not. That's a big move in the stock. That's why I say you use your stops to accommodate how you invest in the market. Now, everybody will, then why do you have the stop? Because the stop is a line in the sand. That if absolutely that should be just like the last line of defense. That's where you stop if you haven't already done it. So does that make sense? And that goes out to you, Harry. Does that make sense? If you need two numbers for a buy, stop, limit, order, stop, and a limit, what should they be? Well, if I'm going to buy a stock that's less than $20, I'm going to put a 5 cent above that as my buy stop, and 5 or probably 10 cents higher than that is my limit. All right, so if the stock is over $20, I'm going to put a 12 cent buy stop, and 10 cents higher than that is a limit. The 10 cents gives me some space that if the stock is still moving higher, that I got some room to get in. But if it blows through my limit, I don't get into that stock. So there you go. So the stop is normally either 5 or 12 cents higher than the current, than the stock's high, depending on what the price is. And the limit, I normally stick 10 cents higher than that to give me some space. Now, I don't remember all of the stocks that we looked at or didn't look at. Dang it. Jets is one of them. Let me go look at that real quick. View the stock graph on Jets. This is the airlines. Are you ready to pull the trigger on the airlines yet? Don't know. I'm not ready. Look at that. I can connect the lows. What else can I do? I can connect the highs. But even if I really do connect the highs, the stock is broken through a level of a wedge, but now moving sideways. The 3 and the 8 on Jets or the airlines is above. The stock is moving sideways. This is all in anticipation of possibly getting more stimulus from the government. but I'm not ready to pull the trigger on it just yet. Why not wait? Now, if you want to be speculative about it and go, I think they're going to get some stimulus, you can buy it now. I do like that the 3 and 8 are bullish. I do like that the stock is hitting higher lows. I'm just not sure I'm ready to pull the trigger on it yet. Today is a big shooting star day as far as candlestick, a little bit of a sideways path. This is news-driven. I'm not sure I'm ready to pull the trigger on it yet. Let's see if it does get some stimulus, all right? Susan, anything you want to add to that? I'm only going to look at one more. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I got in and out of Boeing there a little while ago, basically on the same thing there, Glenn. I mean, the thing was that the stock had gone so low. I mean, this is the thing, is that earlier on in the year there was some amazing bottom fishing trades.
Oil was one of them, and everybody was jumping on oil because the contracts went to below zero. And then since then, and I've been saying that demand drives oil. Demand hasn't been there, but the bottom fishing opportunity was there. But since then, oil ain't what it needs. It's not where it's supposed to be. What you think? But keep going.
Exactly. I mean, another story you picked up on there that I didn't jump in on at the time, but to point out, is Carnival. I mean, in the cruise line area. I mean, the stock had fallen, it was down to about 20% of its share price. The option premium on it was amazing. I sold a put back in April. I mean, I would have been buying the stock at about 5% of its original share price. I struck it at $12.50. I mean, it was just incredible at the time. The reason that I went in, it was actually quite a conservative thing to do, was that I went into that cruise lining company. I sold a put on it. I sold it at the money, so I didn't know whether I was willing to take it on or not. Well, I did know, but I just didn't want to necessarily make that decision. And so I sold it at the money, took in a hugely juicy premium, and the stock went up, and then it pretty, like, a kind of a head and shoulders really is what happened. But if I had taken on the stock at the price that I had taken it on, it was going to be much lower, and I had got the premium as well. And I was really going in at that bottom fishing level. I wouldn't be going in today, because I don't think that we're in a bottom fishing environment like you've just mentioned there. And we're in a different sort of scenario right now. But yeah, I agree. I think you either need to see technically about your position to know why you're going in. Something that I learned from doing Trade Like a Pro, I did the Trade Like a Pro course in North Carolina, would you believe, 2 weeks after my honeymoon. I did it, and one of the best pieces of advice that I got, actually, it was from Steve Chappell, and he said, and a couple of other guys who have since left VectorVest, but the particular thing was, write down why you take on a position when you do, so that if the market is tanking like you see Tesla doing today, or if it's rocketing, at least you know why you bought. And that's a really important thing to do, because then you'll remember why you're in a position and what to do about it. So that's what I would say on something like what you were showing there in terms of the airlines. Just know why you're getting in. If it's speculation based on stimulus, well then, then you'll know what to do, whether that speculation comes to pass or not. At least technically you have something to fall back on again. But I certainly knew what I was doing in Carnival, and happy that I did it, but not anymore.
And talking right along with Carnival, one of my other stories was Norwegian. A lot of Carnival and Norwegian, all of those stocks in that industry look a lot alike right now. They're not getting any stimulus, but you know what's interesting from a candlestick pattern? Look at that. Look at that hammer formation right there. Look at the 3-8 follow behind it, and it's still moving up. Now, if you're from a trade perspective, because RT is not above 1 yet, it's trying to get there, not there yet. That could have been a good early op, but it would have been a trade. Just like Susan said, write down what you're trying to do with this trade. With this trade. Well, I'm looking at this. They're getting beaten up, but I see a technical formation happening. This is a trade. Now, if this is a trade, I like using the 3 and the 8 on the trade to get me out of it, to keep me from pulling my hair out. The stock pulled back a little sideways. The 3 and the 8 held. The stock dropped one big day. How many of you, without having something to gauge by, would look at that and go, holy crap, I'm getting out of that? 3 and the 8 on the end-of-day basis didn't hit yet, and still look at the stock. So from a trade perspective, I like NCLH or Norwegian. I probably would like Carnival. I think the graphs look sort of kind of alike. Just be careful. Big shooting star pattern today. Probably look for some follow through to the downside tomorrow. All right, Susan, we covered a lot of stuff today. All right, so what I'm getting ready to do is I'm getting ready to say goodbye to you for the day. I want to say thank you so much for all of the insight that you brought to the table today. Again, I got my little Spam. You got the sirloin. I'm all right with that. I am so okay with that. She got filet. All right. Actually, she got ribeye. She got that rib. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I love the way that you talk about the things that you talk about. And I like the deep thought that you put behind what you do, more so what you say, in relating your trading in what's going on with the stocks that you've traded to go along with the stories that we have up here. So with that, I want to say thank you so much for being here. And guess what, folks? I will be on her show tomorrow on the Fantastic Female Friday. I'm going to have to put on a wig, though, and be like, hey, all right, because it's Fantastic Female Friday. But it's going to be talking about how to talk to your kids about investing. I've got a blended family of 6 kids. If you look at it, 4 daughters, 2 sons, and I have talked about investing in my kids, but we'll get more deeper into that into tomorrow. Susan, you want to add anything to that before we go?
Yes, indeed. I just want to tell everybody that, we're going to have a very different conversation. So yes, indeed, Glenn is coming over to my show tomorrow on Fantastic Female Fridays, and I really admire the fact that Glenn was happy to talk to me so openly about the way in which he engages with his family about this area. He told me back when we were only brainstorming the idea around Fantastic Female Fridays, he said, Susan, I've got 4 different daughters. I said, different ones, Glenn? Yes, he said. So I said, well, you know what? I'm not going to let that opportunity pass me by. So definitely tomorrow, those of you who can join us, we'd love to have you. Friday, 12 noon Eastern time, right here on VectorVest, the YouTube channel. Just make sure you can set a reminder. If you search for the link, you'll find it. If you go to vectorvest.com/FFF for Fantastic Female Fridays, you can register or just tune back in here again. As always, Glenn, it's a pure pleasure to be here. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about what I certainly love to talk about in the markets, whether I can weave in economics, I can weave in the options, I can weave in what's going on in Europe, and I can weave in the feminine side of the way in which women invest as well. So it's always a pure pleasure. Thanks so much indeed to everybody who has commented and who has asked questions, who's engaged with us. I love talking to VV Nation. Thanks again so much, Glenn. Best of luck for the rest of the show, and see you soon. Back to you tomorrow.
One more thing. Do you have any social media outlets that people can reach you and find you on?
Absolutely. I am on Twitter at SusanHayes_, and I'm just going to post that there in the chat. I'm on Instagram at Susan Hayes Culleton, and I'm also on LinkedIn just under my own name, Susan Hayes Culleton. So actually this week, Glenn, we had a Twinterview where VectorVest and I had a Twinterview on Twitter. So there's lots and lots of VectorVest activity been happening on my Twitter recently, and absolutely would love if anybody wants to check in and follow me there on any one of those channels. It's, as I say, it's always great to have you, and also it's really fun to follow Glenn on Twitter too. I have to say he's the same in person as he is on the show. I can tell you, I've had the pleasure of meeting him in person. But you know what I will say on this, on the last thing I'll say before I go is, we may be the filet mignon, but definitely our side is Joey. So thanks so much, Joey, for keeping us straight and keeping us right on track and taking care of us in the way that you do. I know you're behind the scenes, but I'm sure VV Nation love you, and certainly I appreciate you immensely on behalf of the guy that says that he loves you to death. Thanks again so much indeed, Joey, for all that you do. Thanks again, Glenn. Best of luck with everyone.
Thank you. And I want VV Nation to put those likes up for Susan as she goes, because I think she did an outstanding job. This is not the first time we've had her on Trending Thursday. And again, I love having her here. I think she's an amazing individual. She's an amazing economist. She's got such immense knowledge about the market, how to trade the market, and I think she gave a lot of that to you in presentation today. And I will always take a back seat to her when she is here because she deserves it. She deserves it. She knows what she's talking about. So to catch me on social media, go to @GlennTompkins Jr. on either Instagram or Twitter. And I post all kinds of stories throughout the day. All right. With that, folks, adios. I got 168 likes. Man, all right. I'll take it. I wonder how many people subscribe to the channel today. Again, don't be afraid to subscribe to the channel. I got more non-subscribers than subscribers to the channel, so I'd rather see you. If you like the content, subscribe. And the horses are fast and furious in the Jockey Club. Hi, Kirby. How you doing? Kirby is part of the Jockey Club. So there we go. So with that, I gotta go. Joey, I gotta go. Adios, arrivederci, ciao, au revoir, sayonara, aloha, salam, shalom, namaste, peace. We're out of here.
Yeah.